his girlfriend, a black man named Lionel Morris. Lionel Morris, he was in the store. And I think he actually stole something from the store, right? The police were called to the store because him and his girlfriend was stealing. I think his girlfriend, once the police got to the store, I think his girlfriend just dropped to the ground. She kind of just said, hey, arrest me. He wasn't trying to go down as easy, right? So he tried to run a little bit, tried to wrestle with the police a little bit, and ultimately they put this brother in one of the same type of positions George Floyd was in, where it was one man with a knee on his back, one man a knee on his lower back, one man had like a knee on his legs or some shit like that, right? So ultimately the brother, and this is so eerie how we continue to say like the same type of things and the same result always happens. So this brother is telling them, I can't breathe, right? And again, this happened before in another situation where the white cop told a man the same thing. In this situation, the white cop told him, you can breathe because I can hear you talking, right? If you couldn't breathe, you couldn't talk, right? Not understanding that he's just referencing the fact that he can feel his lungs kind of imploding, that he can feel the life kind of leaving out of his body, right? So that's, to me, that's a sign, that's a telltale sign that maybe we should get off of him. Maybe one of us should be on him instead of 5 or 6 or 7, right? So ultimately, long story short, the brother Lionel Morris ultimately died, right? Like that's not to be expected. He ultimately died being in that position after saying that he couldn't breathe. It was like an 8-minute thing. Look, ain't that kind of eerie? It was like an 8-minute time frame where they was on his back. He's yelling, he can't breathe. And just like with the George Floyd situation, come on, man. A motherfucker steal something from a store or do some little check scam shit. That shouldn't cost somebody their life. Pick them up off the ground. You have them in handcuffs. So this is what I don't understand about the police, man. We talk about how all police aren't bad and, you know, the majority of police don't conduct themselves like that. It don't matter, man. If we continue, one of these incidents is too much. One of these incidents is too much. So we have the police spread across over his goddamn back. One of them tell him, what did he say? He told him something like, shut the fuck up before I hit you in your face, or shut the fuck up before I elbow you, something like that, right? And again, they're sitting on top of his body, hella nonchalant. Family, we have a problem with the way we are policed in this country, specifically black folks. Like, this is a goddamn problem that needs to be addressed. It's no doubt about it. It needs to be addressed. Something needs to happen. In my opinion, first things first, cops shouldn't be allowed to police in areas they're not from. Bottom line. 2, cops shouldn't be allowed to just shoot nobody. It should be a matter of, or they shouldn't be allowed to be too aggressive. It should be based on the situation. And also, it shouldn't be more than 2 cops. If it's one man you have to subdue, it shouldn't be more than 2 cops. Why do I say that? I'm tired of seeing these fat, donut, sloppy eating ass cops who hella fat and out of shape and shit, and they kind of just pissed off that you made them run, or they kind of just pissed off that they had to tussle with your black ass. Look, cops should be in shape. They should have to go through their training, whatever the initial training is. After this initial training, they should have to be in the gym 3 times a week. It's no fucking way. You a goddamn gladiator out there on them streets. You should be able to fuck one dude up. If it's one cop should be able to subdue one person on its own. You should know some jiu-jitsu or some shit, nigga. You should know some fly-ass karate or some shit. You should know some takedown moves that most of us aren't familiar with, that all you gotta do is hit us real quick, bop, he down on the ground, put the handcuffs on him. I think the reason why we're seeing all of the gunplay, the reason why we're seeing all of the brutality to a degree is, 1, we have a lot of white supremacists in law enforcement. Nobody wants to admit that. The FBI came out and told us that several years ago. There's a lot of white men in the police force, just like there's a lot of white judges, there's a lot of white attorneys, district attorneys, all these different people who don't have the KKK hood on no more. Now they got on a goddamn suit and tie, and they're conducting themselves the same way. So they understand that being in a police force, you're damn near lawless, where you can do pretty much what you want to do, all in the name of police work, and you have a police union that's going to back your ass. You see what I'm saying? So we need to continue to try to figure out ways to fight this goddamn beast, or it's not going to be or it's never going to be the way it should be, right? Keeping in mind that we can't negate the fact that policing in America was started with slave patrols, family. They're treating us the same way the slave patrols treated us. You feel what I'm saying? But anyways, they need to be in shape, family. They need to be in shape. They need to be in the gym 2-3 times a week. You need to take in karate classes. They need to be, cops should be in tip-top combat shape, right? They should be in tip-top. This will help their confidence. I think sometimes these white men who are already intimidated by us for different reasons, who already got these negative stereotypes built up about us based on history, based on shit that they've misrepresented. You see what I'm saying? Based on our goddamn melanin. You know what I'm saying? They already have these ways that they feel about us, so they're already intimidated, so their hand is kind of already on the gun because they don't know what we're going to do, because they're unsure of how we're going to react based on them not really living with us, based on them not really being around us on a day-to-day basis. You see what I'm saying? But if we don't begin to put these cops in jail, if we don't retrain these cops, racism training and physical training, they need to be physically in shape. I think, and this is just my opinion, if we have a white cop that's, let's say he buffed in a motherfucker, he hella buff and know jujitsu or know something, when you are secure in who you are, when you're confident in your masculinity, you're less likely to fuck somebody up. You know what I mean? You're less likely to pull a gun. You can look at somebody and say, okay, he's on drugs. Something's wrong with him. I can just grab him real quick, throw him to the ground, right? Because I am going to concede that a cop does have a dangerous job, right? Right? You're in a job where at any moment somebody could pull a gun, a knife. You don't know what somebody got. I get it. Granted, you should anticipate this. You should know this before you take your oath. Like when you're in training, they should kind of drill this point home to all their cadets that this is life or death shit, and if you can't take it, if it's too much for you, you shouldn't do the job. You know what I mean? So ultimately, I think these cops in Arkansas, I think the district attorney in Arkansas is basically saying that they were rightfully so because of how the man was moving around. They're also already putting it out in the air that the man had hella drugs in his body, that he had meth in his body, he had coke in his body, all this other shit, which to me, I don't really give a fuck about that. He's dead at the hands of police officers. And the thing is, all of this sets a terrible precedence, family. When a cop can do this to us and there's no jail time that comes from it, you tell me why they would stop. Right? You tell me why they would stop. When they get into a situation where they can't work no more, where they're on administrative leave or all this shit, somebody typically starts a GoFundMe for them or some type of online account where some of these cops end up fucking rich before it's over. Right? If not rich, infamous. If not both. You see what I'm saying? So what is the incentive to stop? What is the incentive to stop? I know a lot of people say if you look at all of the police stops around the country, all of the police interactions, it's a small percentage that actually kill us or become violent with us, but I don't give a fuck about none of that. It's too much. That's the point. It's too many. It's been happening for too long. And look, I would look at this different if police killed everybody, right? I would look at this differently if you can cut on the TV and see a white man get his shit blown out for running, for moving, for not complying, right? An Asian man get his shit blown out for the same reasons, right? Then we'd say, okay, this isn't a race thing at all. We just have a problem with how police are handling citizens.